brother.
Hey, Al. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Good. And welcome everyone back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell.
And I'm Blake Murphy.
And just as it sounds, we are siblings who love true crime.
Yeah, love it.
Love it. This story has all the facts of the actual case, but we'll be kind of playing around with Howard's storytelling, trying to make it more immersive. We're going to have more photos, more recordings. And so we're kind of dabbling around with what works best for us. So to make it more of a seamless narrative and maybe fill in some of the blanks, but all the facts of it is according to what actually happened. But if you haven't yet, please like, rate, subscribe, all the different things. I think we're Siblings in Crime Pod on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and now YouTube. So if you haven't, it'll be a huge help for us. We'd greatly appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. But before we get into it, Blake, how was your week?
My week was good. I flew to Austin. I think I fly to Austin a lot on this podcast.
I know. Seems like that's like the main place you go to.
Yeah, but it was a good week. Homes are coming along, and I can't think of anything that really stuck out this week.
Sounds like it was a fine week then.
Yeah, it was good. Just hopefully buying a house today. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know, maybe.
Just left and right. Houses everywhere. That's awesome.
Hopefully.
Well, that's sweet. For me, I had a super fun week. I just got back from Montana. Brett and I just went for a couple days. We just wanted to go see what it was like. We really want a summer house there now. It was like absolutely stunning. It was kind of cold. We hiked in Glacier. We went and saw the bison range.
Yeah. Did you see a bear?
No, we tried so hard to see a bear. We literally were like keeping our eyes peeled the whole time, and it was probably for the better that we didn't, but we were really hoping we would actually.
Yeah. I bet Mom was glad you didn't see one.
Oh my gosh. I didn't tell you this story. Actually, this is funny. Mom was so adamant that we got bear spray, which of course we're going on a hike in Glacier. We go to Walmart. It is $50 a can. I was like, Mom, I'm going to get one can. And she's like, no, you both have to have one. You have to have one to protect Brett. Brett has to have one to protect you. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. She goes, I just Venmoed you $100. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you don't have to do that. She's like, if that's the only way. Like, she's been so scared of bear attacks lately. So
watching
shout out to Mom.
Videos about bear attacks.
Yeah, she watches grizzly things every day, I think. So shout out to her for keeping us safe. Luckily, we didn't have to use it.
Yep.
It was good to have.
That is good.
But anyways, it's good to be back. Good to get back in routine and all that stuff. So glad we made it in time for another episode. Episode 21.
Let's go.
So exciting. All right. Well, for today's story, some stories, they don't really start out with just murder right off the bat. Last week, we talked about a case where it was literally the most random selection, the most psychopathic thing I've ever heard. But sometimes they start with a childhood that no one talks about, a slow unraveling, a friendship that turns sideways, a moment you think you can come back from until it's too late. This is the kind of crime that doesn't happen in a single night, actually. It kind of like simmers over time until you reach a boiling point. It started in a trailer park where loyalty blurred with fear and where a group of women started to tear apart, leaving one girl fighting for her life. This is a story of passion and how a quiet night turned into a death sentence.
Whoa.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll. Tina Brown is 6 years old. The first time she realized that no one is going to come tuck her in at night. Her parents are out again, somewhere in the haze of the 1970s nightclubs, lights, the weekend parties. They're very absent from her life. And the silence in the house is sharp, except for the low hum of the television flickering against chipped wallpaper. Her baby brother stirs in the next room, hungry, and Tina climbs off the couch to make him some cereal with water, because she did not know how to care for a child. She didn't know how to care for herself. She was a child herself. Mm-hmm. And Tina's neighborhood at the time is fractured. It's crime-infested, riddled with addiction, and raw violence. Her father, Willie, used to work in security, where he used to have a badge and protect people, and now he's just a shadow of what he once was. Behind closed doors, he was packaging crack cocaine for a local drug ring. Their home became a hub, a place where deals are made, where smoke clouds just hung from every room. And Tina learned early on in life of what it's like to have a life of addiction. Her mother, Lillian, leaves when Tina was just a young teenager. The bruises on her face and the gash above her eyebrows are clear indicators of why she left, but she made a promise to her kids that she would come back and never fulfilled that promise. Tina stayed behind with her dad, Willie, and his new wife, Melinda. Melinda seemed like, well, she was loud, reckless. She seemed kind of fun because she had like an outgoing personality, but in reality, she was known as a prostitute in the area. She was dealing herself and quickly wrapped Tina into this lifestyle as well, pimping her out to local people in order to pay for her own addiction.
How old was she?
At this point, she is about 14.
Oh, man.
Super young, super illegal, and so sad. But even before her evil stepmom was pimping her out,
Yeah.
by the time she was 12, the unthinkable happens, where her father begins to kind of dissolve that line between parent and predator.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's like kind of like one of those family secrets where everyone kind of suspected something was going on, but no one confronted it, leaving her just in this horrible, horrible scenario growing up.
Yeah.
I guess Tina even tries to confide in her grandma at some point and say that her son is abusing her. Mm-hmm. And the grandma comes back like defensive, saying like, that would never happen. That's my boy. And totally rejects her granddaughter and says never to come back.
Dang. That's savage.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
And that's like a
Crazy
lot of,
that she like doesn't trust her, but trusts her son.
Isn't
Probably because it's her son, but
I know.
it's still her granddaughter.
It's so sickening. And you hear that all the time with people who get abused. The fear of like not being taken seriously and like no one doing anything to help them. Mm-hmm. And so from such a young age, Tina is like seeing every worst part of life.
Yeah.
And so it's not really a surprise that at the age of 19 is when she gets pregnant for the first time. Somehow she believes that maybe motherhood is her chance to get out of like this horrible life that she's been given. So Tina Brown has her first two sons actually pretty back to back in her late 19 and then early 20s. But it wasn't until like her third pregnancy with her first daughter that she kind of felt a glimmer of hope for the very first time. Maybe that this time things will be different.
A good guy?
Not a good guy, but she's first time completely sober. She
That's
gives
good.
birth to Brittany Miller on June 2nd, 1993. I don't really hear much about the dad, so I don't imagine he's like super great guy.
Yeah.
He's
already gone.
Yeah, already gone. I don't know anything really about him. She's had multiple boyfriends, but we do know that she gives birth to her daughter. And at this time, as Brittany's starting to grow up, her two older sons have already moved out of the house, so it's kind of more of just Tina and Brittany doing their own life. Like I said, she's been sober for 4 years at this point, and so she has this little inkling, a little drive to go start a new life. She's like,
Cool.
I'm finally clean. I'm getting a new job.
Yeah.
So her and Brittany, they
Take
moved
care
to
of the
Florida.
kids, moving.
Yeah. She's a whole new woman.
Yeah. Getting out of town.
Let's do it. So
Hitting the road.
that's all great and stuff until it's not.
Yeah.
Because then by 2009, she's already using again.
Yeah, it's hard to stop, I bet.
Yeah. But not like before. Like in the past, it was like hardcore addiction. It seems like she's using now when times feel a little too heavy, like her boyfriend was cheating on her. I guess she was in such a financial scrape that she was writing false checks, getting them bounced, in trouble with the law.
Yeah. Rough time.
Doesn't seem like it's a great time to be doing more illegal things when you're in trouble with the law, but
Happens.
But regardless, yeah. So she was like, we're getting into a new environment. And at the time that she moves, they're about a few months into a new trailer park when they start meeting new friends around there. So now we're
in Florida, right?
And we're in Florida, yep. So at the time that they move, Brittany is now 16. Tina is pushing 40. So mother-daughter living in the trailer park. The first time Tina Brown sees Audreanna Zimmerman was across the gravel lot. She thinks nothing of her, just another girl in the park. She's 19 years old. She has 2 babies and many boyfriends. So
Yeah.
Take that as you will. She's typically barefoot, loud. I feel like it's so stereotypical trailer that you imagine that people like put in movies. She has all attitude, all tank tops.
Yeah.
And they like kind of hit it off where they're just smoking cigarettes on the patio. Everyone kind
Chatting
of
about life.
yeah, everyone's out on the patio, out on the lawn all day, every day. That's the way they roll. But things in this neighborhood don't stay casual for super long because times are tough,
Yeah.
especially here. So we got lot 1. This is where the first house is. It's home to Heather Lee. She's young. She's about 27, just over 10 years younger than Tina. And she keeps to herself most days, but her husband, Darren, is a completely different story. Darren is like the drug dealer of the trailer park.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that,
Lot 1 is the drug dealer.
Lot 1 is the drug dealer. And on top of that, he does more than just get cash for the crack that he sells. Word gets around that he's been sleeping with a few women in the park, Tina being one of them. They keep it quiet, sort of. I mean, Brittany knows. And actually, rumor gets around to even the wife, Heather. So Heather knows that her husband's sleeping with Tina and probably multiple women in the park. Maybe she thought it was just rumor or maybe she didn't mind. But either way, it really doesn't seem to affect Heather and Tina's relationship. Like, they're
That's
hanging
weird.
out. Right. I don't understand. Throughout the whole story, you'll see I do not understand Tina and Heather's relationship.
Yeah.
Either Heather doesn't care, like maybe she doesn't believe it. I'm not sure. Either way, there's still kind of a knowledge there. So there's still simmering tension just under the surface, but it hasn't like boiled up. Heather's not like pissed or anything like that. But Brittany doesn't like Heather, the daughter, 16-year-old daughter. She thinks that Heather is just got a loud mouth, talks too much, and acts innocent when she isn't. Tina is not trying to make enemies. They're new to the area, but I mean, sleeping with her neighbor's husband,
Yeah, it's not a good way to start.
not a great start.
Nope.
Doesn't look good. It's not a great way to make friends. But then there's that Audreanna
Even though
girl.
she did make a friend.
Right. She did make, the wife.
Yeah.
Confusing. But then there's that Audreanna girl that we talked about that always just seems to be around. She floats between friendships and kind of like the fake way where one day they're like best friends and the next she's like yelling and ready to fight.
Dang.
She's pretty intense.
Yeah.
She yells across the park often. She fights with her boyfriend in public and is not ashamed of the short fuse and irrational behavior that she's known for. One morning, Audreanna storms across the lot, fuming, accusing Tina of getting her boyfriend locked up,
Locked up? Like Tina's pregnant? Or what does it locked up mean?
sending her boyfriend to jail,
Oh.
locked up in jail.
I see.
Tina, at her typical spot on the patio, smoking around, hanging out with friends, she stampers back, trying to get her distance from the one who is very forceful, being Audreanna. And Tina's not shy from contention. She can stand up for herself. But in a situation where someone's coming at her, she's trying to defuse the situation. Audreanna, ready to take a swing, takes a second.
She's intense.
She's intense. It sounds like they just have like full-on fist fights. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
So she's ready to wind up and swing on Tina.
Jeez.
But she takes a second to refrain and let Tina know that rumor around the park is that she's been talking too much when she's high, is what she says. And whether it's true or not, she says that she knows someone who knows something, and Tina's the problem.
Whoa.
So they're going, it's kind of awkward. Tina's like, okay, let's all relax. She tries to defuse.
Let's work this thing out.
This is not a big deal.
I didn't do anything.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
And her daughter, 16-year-old Brittany, is not like that. She's like, now I'm pissed. Now I hate Audreanna because she did this. Tina and Brittany are very protective of each other, which makes sense. I mean, they grew up.
They only have each other.
Yeah, they only have each other. They're going through hard times. It's very normal to kind of protect and be defensive over the people you love.
Yeah.
Just a few days later, Tina was inside doing kind of the daily chores or whatever she does in her trailer. And in comes Brittany. Brittany is slamming the screen door shut behind her, fuming, saying that she's the one that called Crime Stoppers. I know it. Referring to Audreanna.
So she called Crime Stoppers on her own boyfriend and is blaming Tina?
No. Crime Stoppers They think that Audreanna called Crime Stoppers on Tina for like her drugs and all the stuff that she's doing shady. And you know what Crime Stoppers is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a community-based program that provides a platform for people to anonymously make a report. So if anyone doesn't know that, that's what it's for. And so there's no way to pinpoint that it was Audreanna, but Brittany's like convinced. She's like, it was her. She called Crime Stoppers.
So did something happen to Tina?
Not yet, but then just a few days later, they got a letter from Child Protective Services that they want to schedule a visit.
Oh.
And it's like all these things are lining up, and it was just too much of a coincidence for them to be like, this has to be her. How come all of a sudden everyone's coming, like all the government is coming after us?
Yeah.
And she just like is over the top thinking, Audriana's after us. Who else would call us? And no one has proof of it, but in the trailer park, accusation kind of feels like conviction. Like your word is it.
Yeah.
Days go by. The weather gets hotter. The park gets louder. Darren, Heather's husband, starts slipping some tiny amounts of crack to Tina when Heather's not looking in exchange for some sexual favors. Because of this, Tina's addiction kind of makes that dirty escape out of recovery, and she starts spinning and spiraling quickly from here.
Yeah.
It was the evening on a calm day in March 2010 when this mother-daughter duo, Tina and Brittany, were out enjoying the cooling spring air when the peace was suddenly disturbed. You could hear her voice booming with accusations before you could see her. From around the corner of their trailer comes Audrianna stomping up to Brittany, the 16-year-old this time. Brittany is not like her mom in the sense of trying to defuse. She is not the type to get pushed around, and she is now face to face with Audrianna. She doesn't know
Throw
why.
down?
What?
They're going to throw down?
Yeah, they're ready to throw it down. Brittany doesn't even know what's up yet. She's like, okay, what is going on? There's hurt and anger sprawled across Adriana's face as she tells Brittany to back off her man. Evidently, there's reason to believe Brittany has been sneaking off with Adriana's boyfriend. And that
Who's in jail?
she has multiple boyfriends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was just not going to fly with her. So something you have to remember about the story, everyone's with everyone's man.
Yeah.
There is not one faithful person in this story.
That's, yeah. I can.
This causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're following along. Let me know if you have questions of who's with who.
Okay.
Tina is dumbfounded and appalled about the accusations and jumps to separate the two, but not before Audrianna pulls out the device that she brought just for Brittany. As the girls reach around each other, trying to get to each other around Tina, Audrianna pulls out the stun gun that she brought and aims directly at Brittany's chest.
Stun gun? Uh-huh. Where'd you get a stun gun?
I know. Who has one of those?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tina yanks her daughter back, shocked but not badly hurt. Brittany fumbles into the house, and then they slam the door shut. And fights, like I said, were not uncommon, but no one brought, like, weapons.
Yeah,
It was more
that's
like,
intense.
let's hash it out. We'll get over it. We're cool tomorrow.
Yeah.
But with them bringing a weapon, potentially calling Crime Stoppers and Child Protective Services, it was just all too much for this mom and daughter.
Yeah.
Tina did the only thing she could think of, and she picked up the phone and calls her neighbor, Heather.
Uh-oh.
2 weeks pass. The evening settles soft and quiet over the trailer park, the kind of stillness that feels like you're holding your breath. And inside of Tina Brown's trailer, a movie is flickering on the television. Audreanna Zimmerman is back. She showed up just before dark, knocking on Tina's door like everything was normal. She said she had a tattoo that was starting to swell and she needed something to put on it. Tina opened the door without hesitation, and this was typical behavior. Everyone hates each other, and everyone acts like nothing happened. Brittany, for one, cannot pretend everything is okay. She stands in the hallway, arms folded, silent. Mallory, Brittany's friend, who's just 13 years old,
Yeah.
young, is perched at a bar stool nearby, her legs swinging nervously. She keeps waiting for someone to say something real, but no one does. Mm-hmm. Heather, the other neighbor, arrives not long after. She steps inside like she belongs there, like this is still her inner circle. But it's just a bunch of girls who say they're friends and like none of them like each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic girls.
Sad.
Yeah.
Something's boiling here. Tina kind of nodded to the back room, saying like, yeah, there's some ointment you can put on your tattoo, but in the back room.
Yeah.
She actually stands slowly and follows Audreanna down the hallway. Heather watches. The silence thickens. Then the first thud hits the wall like a dropping of a bowling ball. Then the distant sound of electricity as the stun gun hits its target. Mallory stiffens. Heather doesn't move. But for Brittany, this is her indication. It's go time. Mm-hmm. She runs to the back room, swinging at Audriana's face like a madman.
Yeah.
Heather now joins in, stuffing Audriana's mouth with a sock and puts a pillowcase over her head. Tina is the first to speak up in a cool, measured voice, saying, "Bring the car around."
Wait, so who's stun gun?
Exactly.
They got their own stun gun now?
They got their own stun gun.
What the heck? Why did even whatever her name is go over there? Yeah.
They thought they mended things. She thought that they were cool. And
wait, so just keep going.
She went right back over. So Heather grabs the keys. Mallory stands but doesn't move. This poor 13-year-old is witnessing like them just beating on this girl.
Yeah.
They bring Audrianna out with the pillowcase over her head, hands tied up with a belt, and blood noticeably all over her face from getting beat.
Yeah.
Tina holds her steady, warning that if she screams, they'll tase her again. Heather opens the trunk and no one says a word. Audrianna disappears inside and the car pulls away into the darkness.
Who got in the car?
We have Audrianna in the trunk, Heather, Tina, and Brittany.
And then Mallory was just left.
Mallory was left behind. Mm. It's sometime before 10 p.m. now. Fast forwarding.
Okay.
When the headlights cut across the empty street, the car rattles like it's coming apart. And then in the passenger seat, we have Brittany Miller clutching her hand, swollen and bruised. Driving, barely able to see over the wheel, is Mallory. 13 years old, no license, no idea
Why
what
is she driving?
Doing. She's the one that's driving because Brittany's hand is busted.
You only need one hand.
That's what you would think. But
yeah, anyways.
Mallory's trying to be helpful, evidently. And she kind of is trying to seek more information from Brittany. And she's asking her, like, are you sure we should go to the hospital? Brittany doesn't have to answer. Like, they already know they're going. Her hand looks pretty busted. But the first hospital actually turns them away. Some people speculate, like different sources say that like hospitals, if they have suspicion that something bad happened, that they can either deny you service or they're going to call the cops to get more information if they don't have enough answers.
Yeah.
Brittany says it was too long of a wait to get help. And so either way, they're on their way to a second hospital.
Yeah.
On their way, Mallory asked the question, okay, it's time. What happened to your hand? Mm-hmm. Brittany doesn't speak for a long time, then quietly whispers, it was the crowbar. Mallory doesn't look at her. She stares straight ahead. She doesn't really want to know what she means by that, but Brittany keeps talking. And the more she speaks, the more the hours rewind. The memory unfolds slowly at first, like fog lifting in pieces. Like we said, Audrianna had come over that night. In fact, she was invited over. Tina let her in.
Oh, she invited her over?
She was invited over.
Oh, I thought she just went over there for
her tattoo.
That makes it sound worse, yeah.
Yeah, she was invited over. So she's under the illusion that they're good. Mm-hmm. Things have fixed. Last thing that Tina told Mallory was that when the rest of them were leaving, she better keep her mouth shut. The memory picks up and Brittany's speech gets faster as she recalls what happened when they left Mallory at home and drove off with Audrianna smuggled in the back. The drive to Brittany felt like an eternity as the four girls made their way into the woods. Slowly creeping up the secluded area, their hearts were pounding with rage, blinding them from the horrific scene that was about to take place. Yanking Audrianna out of the trunk and throwing her onto the ground, Tina, Brittany, and Heather each felt immense betrayal in their own kind of drugged delusion. Mm-hmm. And they reasoned that beating her senseless was the only way to teach her to mind her own business. Mm-hmm. Brittany, just 16, makes the first decision. Slowly and confidently, she reaches in the trunk and pulls out the crowbar.
Jeez.
Without hesitation, she pulls it back and slams it down hard on Audrianna's face.
Oh, wow.
Over and over, Brittany beats this girl that she once called her friend, leaving her with a broken jaw, many fractures, and bloody, basically, head to toe.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of takes their turn. The adrenaline flew through Brittany and went through the other two attackers where they were like now right there with her. Tina, supporting her daughter, used her weapon of choice, the taser, and stunned her multiple times. Tina, backing up, acknowledged the damage that they had done and decides that there was one thing left to do. For a moment, Tina was hidden as she searches in the car for the remaining items she saved for kind of like the finale.
Yeah.
As Tina returns, she circles the beaten and broken Audreanna on the ground as she pours liquid all over her entire body until the container empties. Brittany's eyes go wide with excitement as her mom sparks her lighter and turns the 19-year-old mother of two into flames, all while Brittany is screaming, "Burn, bitch, burn."
Dang. That's wild. Those girls are psycho.
Psycho. Satisfied there with their work, the three get back in the car and make their escape.
Just leave her burning?
Just leave her burning.
Jeez.
Mallory is listening to the story as they're going to the hospital, and she is mortified. She's 13 years old, listening to her 16-year-old friend talk about the most brutal crime that anyone's ever heard of.
Yeah.
She's just left dumbfounded as they pulled into the hospital to tend the hand that got injured as Brittany was beating a hopeless girl with a crowbar. Sickening.
Brittany was
the one that was beating her, and she broke her hand.
Oh, yeah.
From the way that she was beating her.
I see what you're saying.
Morning in the trailer park usually brings the sound of dogs barking, engines sputtering, and neighbors yelling at the kids to get inside. But today, it brings something else. It was a knock on the door. Brittany had been home from the hospital since 6 a.m. and was asleep when the knock came. Two investigators sat on the steps in plain clothes, but unmistakable. They introduced themselves and asked to come inside. Her hand, Brittany's, was still wrapped in now a soft bandage. She got it tended to.
Yeah.
The swelling was still obvious. Like, it was very obvious she had a very injured hand. And at this point, Mallory was no longer in sight. So she had gone home at some point. The investigators said that they were following up on a report. A badly burned girl was found in the woods off Pine Forest Road. And with that, they took Brittany down to the station where, unbeknownst to her, Tina, Heather, and Heather's husband, Darren, were already being held and interrogated.
Dang.
Little did any of them know, while Brittany was making her way to the hospital, and Tina and Heather and Darren were making their way to the police station the night before in 2010.
Were they just going there? Or were they...
The cops came by.
Oh, okay.
They got picked up.
Yeah.
A man in the woods near his home had heard a yell for help. It wasn't loud, but it was very distinguishable. The officer, in a calm, professional tone, dropped the news that Audreanna walked nearly a third of a mile after being burned and beaten until a man finally came to her rescue.
She's alive still?
She's alive.
Holy cow.
He immediately
That's crazy.
he immediately was like, holy. In his report, he didn't know if it was a man or a woman, doesn't know if she's white or black. She was so charred, all like physical features were hard to distinguish. So, obviously needing medical attention, he called the ambulance, and this man and Audreanna, it's so interesting, just sat on the patio waiting for the ambulance to show up.
911. What's going on out there?
Somebody saw burn up. Her, this lady on fire right now.
Do what?
She burnt all up. You gotta.
She's burnt?
She burnt. Somebody probably set the car on fire or something. I don't know. She just come out of the woods to my house.
It's actually so heartbreaking to even think about because I guess Audreanna was so burnt she couldn't put her arms to her sides because of the pain. Like skin was falling off. Like it was insane amount of damage.
Yeah.
The EMS said that her jaw was like completely disformed, like broken off.
Yeah.
Like she was just unrecognizable completely.
Yeah.
The EMS team told investigators everything that this dying woman said before losing consciousness.
I told her keep fighting, and she kept saying over and over again, "Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it?" And I told her I was going to try, and she said, just tell me I'm going to wake up and see my babies." I got to talking to her, and I told her that I was probably going to be the last person she talked to for a while.
Right before the morphine kicked in, she whispered 3 names: Tina Brown, Heather Lee, and Brittany Miller. As you'd expect, authorities booked it to the trailer park. They get word of these 3 names. They're knocking on doors.
Yeah.
They were actually knocking on door for a whole hour before they answered the door. Which, for me, I'm like, how did you not just break in? Like, someone that's dying said
Probably
that.
can't.
But, I mean, I feel like that's reasonable doubt. I
don't know.
mean, whatever the terminology is.
Yeah.
But regardless, they were walking around, knocking on doors. Tina and Heather's, they were neighbors. And eventually, they opened the door. There is like an 1.5 hour long YouTube video that's like, if you like interrogation videos and stuff like that, it's like really eerie to watch. But I'll put the link to the YouTube in the show notes. But this is where I get a lot of the next little bit information because it's coming from their own words. But what we do know is that the stories aren't lining up. They finally get Heather to answer. Heather, Darren, and Tina are all in Heather's house.
Dang.
All 3 of them were separated into cop cars. There is a long video of the cop cam footage, and they just left Heather in there to just let her boil for a while. And she's like repeatedly saying like, oh, I just saw her, like Audreanna, like we were best friends, you know, like saying all the classic things.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's having like a panic attack. She's having severe anxiety like from the get-go.
Heather?
Yeah. Darren, not very involved. He wasn't there. He's pretty casual about it. He ends up getting the same cop car. He gets in the same cop car as Heather. And they seem like they're kind of working out their plan, like kind of trying to guess what each other is told the investigators. They're saying that they were just watching a movie and whatever. But regardless, all 3 go down to the police station. And this is when the 3 were separated. Heather starts calling for a nurse saying she's having an anxiety attack. She cannot handle this pressure.
I bet.
I can't imagine.
Me neither.
Tina, meanwhile, is silent. She's like, oh, nothing to see here. Like, very relaxed about the situation up until the point where they talk about how Audreanna is currently alive.
Oh, yeah.
Then she starts to have a little bit of a panic attack.
She's freaking out.
She's like, great, now we're a goner.
Yeah.
She keeps saying things like, oh, that's hearsay. That's hearsay. Like,
what's hearsay?
yeah,
That she's
like
alive?
that Audreanna implemented them.
Oh.
And so she has no foundation to stand on.
Yeah.
She's silent. She's alone. She doesn't know what to say. And then Darren, he's casual as can be. He's on phone calls. He's hanging out. They start asking him about his affairs, and he's naming them off. Like, he could not care less about anyone in this story.
He's like, I didn't do anything.
They're like, oh, and were you having an affair with Audreanna as well? And he goes, yeah. So would Heather be mad about that? I don't know if she knew, but yeah, probably. Like, so casual is disgusting. There was so much evidence stacked against these girls that in no time, they're hitting the courtrooms. The courtroom smells like old paper and polished wood. It's cold, too cold for Florida, and the lights feel just a little too bright. Tina Brown sits at the defense table, her hands folded tightly in her lap, and she's wearing a plain blouse, no makeup. Her eyes barely move, but she feels everything. Across from her, a jury of 12 watches her like a puzzle they've already half solved. The prosecution starts slow, methodical, calm, but every word is a thread. And with each thread, they unravel the life Tina tried to hide. They show the stun gun. They bring out the crowbar. They walk the jury through Audreanna's last steps, how she ran through the woods, skin melting, scalp bleeding, and how she collapsed on someone's porch, whispering Tina's name with her last breath. Then comes the witness list. The first person that they brought up was Mallory, 13-year-old Mallory.
Oh, yeah. That's sad.
So sad. She's actually 14 now by the time this took place.
Yeah.
But she still looks so small behind that microphone. She's a little itty-bitty thing. She tells them about that night and how Tina tased Audreanna because she witnessed the tasing. She witnessed Brittany punching her, and they witnessed how she was gagged and thrown into a truck.
Yep.
She says that she thought they were just trying to scare Audreanna.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to think that they're taking them out to go do a murder?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, after seeing him beat her up like that, maybe I would think that.
That's true. I was like, it seems wildly vicious for just to put on a little scare.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of them were kind of violent, though.
Yeah, it seems like that's a very familiar thing
Yeah,
for
violent
this area.
neighborhood.
True. She tells them about the trunk and the drive that she heard how that all went out.
Yeah.
She's talking about the cleanup even because evidently while they're going to the hospital, Brittany wanted to throw out a bag of bloody clothes along the way. And then she looks at Brittany, and she just doesn't say anything else. And that's how she stamps her testimony.
Dang.
Next comes up is Heather Lee. Heather.
She made a deal?
She made a deal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
She's wearing a plain jumpsuit, hair pulled back, no jewelry. She made, obviously, like we said, a plea deal and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for her testimony. She tells the jury that Tina was like the ringleader. She was the
really?
one that like made this stuff happen.
I thought Brittany might be.
I know. I think Tina was the ringleader because she's so protective over Brittany.
Yeah.
She was like, no, we're not going to let that happen to you. We're all going.
Yeah.
That
Surprised Heather even went.
I know. That's another thing. I'm like, Heather, where is your loyalty? Because you're having a hard time with your husband. You're having a hard time with Heather. I feel like she's just kind of a floater, is so with the flow.
Yeah.
It seems like she'll be anywhere that she's told to be. Mm-hmm. She went on to say how Tina was the one who poured the gasoline. And she testifies that
Wait, you said murder. Did she die?
she ended up dying.
Oh, wow.
16 days after she was beaten, lit on fire,
Yeah.
she did end up succumbing to her injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Dang.
now it's not just like a crazy
Attempted
aggravated
murder.
attack. Yeah. It was actual murder. And so obviously the charges are going to be a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I feel like even if she didn't die, the sentences
Vicious.
should still be the same.
Yeah. Or close.
Yeah. Because like it was, I mean, they did everything they
tried
could.
to kill her.
Right. Heather testified that Tina told her that if she didn't help, she would hurt her kids. And that she just lived in this fear and she didn't want to be a part of it, but she had no choice. She was scared. But she says that Brittany did hit Audreanna with the crowbar and that Tina is the one that lit the match. With Heather's testimony, it's pretty damning, obviously. The jury's like, she was there. She knows she was there.
Yeah,
and this
but
seems
she's also getting a deal.
right.
So it's like she's going to make herself seem like she didn't do anything. She was just there.
Right.
Maybe.
But you would think that she would tell the truth about what the other girls were doing at least.
Just so they can keep her deal.
Right.
Yeah,
True.
that's true.
Then comes the forensic evidence, which cracks me up because these girls, not smart. Not smart at all.
I bet.
Yeah. Right off the bat, like investigators go out to the crime scene and Audriana's clothes were there.
Left her business card.
Call me at this number. No, but there was obvious tire tracks that were an exact match to Tina's car, first of all. There was traces of Audriana's blood found in that said car from probably like the crowbar, different items they had brought
When they
into.
beat her in the beginning.
Yep. So different things led to having Audriana's blood in the car. And even better, Brittany left her shoes at the scene of the crime. Not sure why they were off.
Yeah.
But her shoes were there. Her DNA was on the shoes. Audriana's DNA was on the shoes. Tina's stun gun was taken and analyzed with her DNA on it. Literally everything that they could have ever asked for as a forensic team, they got it.
Yeah. How come everyone has a stun gun in this
Well,
neighborhood?
that's what I was thinking too. And it's funny because in the interrogation videos,
Yeah.
Tina's like, why would I have a stun gun? Where did I get a stun gun? He goes, I don't know. Seems like everyone can get them at pawn shops, evidently.
Yeah.
Like everyone just,
seems to have one in there.
I know. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And so the forensic analysis of the crowbar used in the attack revealed that DNA evidence linked both Tina Brown and Brittany Miller to the weapon. This finding corroborated witnesses' testimonies that both individuals had actually participated with the crowbar, not just Brittany like we thought.
Dang.
But that Brittany's her hand injury was because of resulting from the strikes on Audreanna.
Then she probably gave it away for someone else after
She's
she
like,
hurt
she's
herself.
like, I hurt my hand. Mom, you try.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that with your parent.
Yeah.
During the investigation into Audreanna Zimmerman's murder, it was revealed that Tina Brown made a chilling remark to a nurse who was treating Audreanna. I don't know if Tina was friends with this nurse or what their affiliation was, but according to court records, Tina told the nurse, quote, "You need to finish the job."
Jeez.
Because she was the nurse over Audreanna.
Yeah, the nurse is like, okay, this
You're
girl's
a
crazy.
freak. Exactly. This statement was interpreted as an attempt for Tina to make sure that Audreanna passed away.
Yeah.
Which I was like, she already said your name. Why would you want her to pass away and just worsen your sentence?
Yeah.
Not smart girls, like I
Nope.
said. The nurse reported the comment to authorities, which just further implicated Tina wanted her dead.
Yeah.
Finally, Tina speaks. Her voice is hoarse, it's tired, it's shaky. She says, quote, "I was one of the people who took her life." And she adds, "and she didn't deserve it." End quote.
That's it?
That's all she
Or
wants to say.
she said she killed her, but she doesn't deserve it?
Yeah. She apologizes to the family, says she's sorry, says that she's not that person anymore, as if it wasn't just like less than a year ago.
Yeah.
But the courtroom stays still on the decision. Some of the jury won't even look at her, which I would have a hard time as well.
Yeah.
The jury deliberates for just a few hours, and when they return, they find her guilty of first-degree murder. And then comes the second decision, which they actually consider every mitigating factor, such as her sexual abuse as a child, the addiction, the childhood violence and neglect, the fact that Heather and Brittany got lesser sentences. So they actually put a lot of things into consideration when trying to decide what is the best sentence for Tina.
Yeah.
But they also considered the gasoline,
Yeah.
the planning, the fire, and the jury votes
The invitation to come
0.
over.
Yeah, the invitation, exactly. What do you think her sentence was? 12-0.
25 to life.
You think death.
Really?
Really.
Wow. They're in Florida, right?
They're in Florida. That makes her one of 3 women in Florida that are on death row.
So she's currently on it right now?
Currently on it.
Dang.
Tina stares straight ahead as the judge reads the sentence. And outside the courtroom, Audreanna's family's weeping. Inside, Brittany doesn't move. She hasn't made like any big statements. And there's not like anything on Brittany, probably because she was a minor. And so we don't have like her time
Her
in
sentence
court. We
or
don't have her
anything.
sentence. We don't have anything about
That
Brittany.
makes sense.
Yeah. The headlines move on quickly, as they always do, but the people don't. And this poor family is left mourning their loved one. And we kind of set up the story to make Audreanna just like some crazy girl. And she was known for her short temper and stuff like that. But she was so loved by her family. And one thing that she was really known for was her love for her children. She obviously wasn't in a great environment, didn't bring around great guys, was quick to fight.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that her family will die on that hill, is that she was a great mom. Heather, like we said, took the second-degree murder charge. She'll serve decades, but she'll live. And Heather is currently incarcerated at the Gadsden Correctional Facility with a projected release date of September 2nd, 2031.
Coming up.
Coming up in quite a few years, 6 years.
Yeah.
I guess
I
this
bet for
happened
her.
in 2010.
Yeah, I bet for her it's coming up.
Yeah, true. She says that she was threatened, that she was scared, that Tina was a monster. She's not the monster. All these pointing fingers. But the jury saw her for who she is. Like, she was there. She witnessed. She participated. Yeah. And Tina and Heather, obviously, their relationship has been severed. No longer talk to each other.
Yeah.
Like I said, as far as Brittany, there's no official transcript of her confession, no statement read in court. But her name is carved into the case like initials in the headstone. She broke her hand hitting Audreanna. She helped put her in the trunk. She was there, and yet no one knows what sentence she carries. I guess not legally. But you can see it in the way that she talked about Audreanna. You can see it the way that she was silent next to Mallory, and the way she couldn't even look up when the verdict was read. Some people say that she was maybe brainwashed because of the environment she was in. Others say maybe she's just like her mom. It's in the DNA. But Mallory remembers what she saw, and she remembers Brittany saying that she agrees with her mom. Audreanna did not deserve it. As for Audreanna Zimmerman, who went by Augie from her family who loved her, which I think is such a cute little nickname.
Yeah.
She is buried in a white coffin with pink roses. She lived for 16 days after the attack, and she fought hard to survive. She walked nearly that third of a mile with her skin scorched, her lungs were choked on smoke. She literally had nothing for her. 0% chance of making it through. But she did what she could to, 1, get justice for herself, saying the names, and 2, she did everything she could to be there for her kids until the very end.
Yeah.
She was just 19. She was a loving mother of 2. She liked tattoos and music and laughed a little too loud and was very loved, who just did not deserve such a brutal end. Her mom actually keeps the blanket from the hospital bed folded on a shelf.
Dang.
She doesn't talk about the trial, but she does say that she didn't die for nothing. Mm-hmm. They will honor her name, she goes on to say. And for Tina, like we said, she waits, she tries the appeals, she writes letters. In the end, nothing works for her. But the real sentence started long before the trial. It started in that kitchen in Chicago, growing up in a crack house, and a childhood no one saved her from. It leaves you kind of wondering how generational trauma affects a person who can't break out and who carries it chain from chain to chain family members. And unfortunately, in today's story, we'll never know how to break that link because her 16-year-old daughter was just like her.
Yeah. Dang, that's sad.
And that is the story of Tina Brown, Brittany Miller, Heather Lee, and Audie Zimmerman.
Yeah. Dang, that was a sad one.
Yeah, that was a hard one to read, to study, and just for like some maybe rumor accusations against this girl. We don't even know if she called Crime Stopper. We don't know if she filed for the child services. We don't know anything that Augie was actually doing. Yeah. But for whatever reason, Tina, I think, goes on to also blame that she was getting back into crack. And, of course, no one's in their right mind when they're drugged up. And anyways, true. Horrible story. So sad. But you just got to be so careful who you're around.
Yeah, definitely.
And if your mom's crazy, don't be like her. Yeah.
Very true.
Do you have any not so fun facts for us today?
So, Allie and everyone listening, what infamous serial killer was known for taunting the police with encrypted letters and symbols?
Zodiac.
Okay.
Wait, were you going to give me options?
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
What? I don't think I know serial killers and stuff that well, but I'm sorry.
All right. What Canadian killer couple were nicknamed Ken and Barbie?
Oh, I feel like I remember this story, but I don't know their names. Give me options.
Paul and Carla, Jim and Sue, Deborah and Ken, or Jim and Janice. I couldn't say the last name because it'd be not very. It'd be kind of hard.
I feel like it'd be the one that's the name is Ken in it.
It is Paul Bernardo and Carla.
Dang it! I feel like Carla sounded familiar.
I don't know how to say her last name, but
I thought Carla sounded familiar, but then you said Ken. I'm like, there's no way you just used the exact same name.
I know. I couldn't think of anything. This one says their crimes shocked Canada due to their clean-cut appearance. That's why they call them Ken and Barbie.
That's creepy.
Yeah, we should do that case.
Yeah, that'd be creepy.
All right. What cult leader orchestrated a series of murders to incite a race war? This one's easy.
A race war? Hitler?
No.
Who?
Keep guessing.
I don't know.
Charles Manson.
Oh, wait. I actually don't think I knew that.
Really? Oh. So the fact is he never directly killed anyone, but was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder because he'd have his followers commit murder.
Right. I didn't realize that was like...
Yeah.
All I knew was that he had like a cult that they went and did his killings for him.
Yeah.
Creepy.
All right. Who was the first U.S. serial killer to use social media to lure victims?
Ew, I hate that thought.
And first, is it a boy or a girl?
Because you say that, girl.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was a girl.
All
right. And then you won't know the name, but I'm just going to tell you it. Miranda Barber, I think.
You make me feel better that I can't pronounce anything.
I know.
We both can't read.
Yeah, she claimed to have killed over 20 people after meeting them through Craigslist. Just
No
like our last
way.
case.
People are freaks on Craigslist.
I know.
Everyone get off Craigslist if you're normal.
All right, actually, we'll do a couple more. What man murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters in 2018, then blamed her for it?
Blamed her for it. I know his name, Steve.
No.
Wait, what are options? Just give me first names.
All right. We're gonna go with Jeff, Chris, Steve, and Joe.
I got so excited. Chris.
Chris what?
Starts with a W. I can't remember. I think more just came out about this case like recently, right?
I don't know.
But
There's
he's the
been a
one that
Netflix
has like
documentary.
he has like a body cam footage of him and stuff.
Yep. So his case gained massive attention after a Netflix documentary.
I remember that. What was his last name?
Watts.
Yeah, I knew it started with a W.
Yeah. Maybe I should be being tested. I feel like I know.
I
could
don't
probably beat
know
you.
things. That's probably true.
We should have a little thing and like try
That's
to
like a
test
little
whoever's first.
trivia game.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Who is the killer clown who performed at parties and buried 29 victims under his house?
Holy, that's a lot. 1, terrifying, hate clowns.
Yeah.
2, I can only think of a Criminal Minds episode that has a killer clown.
Let me give you some things. Charles Manson, Ed
That'd be a shock.
Gein, John Wayne Gacy, or Jeff Shapiro.
John Wayne.
Yes, John Wayne Gacy.
I recognize names. I just don't know how they're affiliated to anything.
Yeah, all 3 of those are murders except for the last one I made up.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not Charles Manson.
I know. So he was also named an honorary Kentucky colonel by mistake.
By mistake.
I'm not sure what that means.
They're
but
like, we take that back. That was bad. That is so disturbing.
yeah. So those are a couple of the true crime facts for the day.
Not so fun facts.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week with another.
Yep. Adios.